That to me is all sense of utang na loob, but it's also just like, you know, we're equals.
Yeah.
Like, we are... Afford ko din namang i-treat ka sa lunch.
Pero hindi kita afford i-treat sa lunch.
Pero sa weird ibang parents, parang kapag di ka sumagot, sabihin, sumagot ka! Tapos kapag naman di ka pag sumasagot ka, ba't di ka sumagot? So girl, anong gagawin ko, ma?
Welcome to Gistmisan! Ay, mga broski. So today, kasama namin pinaka-wisdomful person na kilala namin, si Madam Rica. Yan. So, for today, pag-uusapan natin ay ang mga concept ng toxic traits, siguro ng mga Filipino culture.
Madami kang alam sa toxic na.
Girl, hashtag stay toxic. De, pero kasi, for example sa akin, hindi ako lumaki sa Pilipinas. So, iba yung paniniwala ko. Marami akong different opinions. Usually sa mga kung ano yung normal sa mga Pilipino. So, for example, utang na loob. Before I wanna say my opinion, kasi feeling ko sobrang iba from, the usual. What is your opinion about utang na loob? Or how do you see the concept?
For me, utang na loob is hindi siya maganda. Kasi, I believe that kapag gagawa ka ng...
Universe.
Kasi I believe that
Naniniwala ako sa kasabihan.
Yeah, kapag gumawa ka ng magbuti, it should be out of like your own will.
Yeah.
Tapos you don't have to, hindi mo kailangan magtanim ng utang na loob para sa tao kasi parang all throughout ng pagkasasama nyo, iisipin niya na may ginawa tong mabuti sa akin, so I have to do something na mabuti din sa kanya in return. Tapos, ang bad din no, na parang mag-e-expect yung taong gumawa ng mabuti na, oy, may ginawa ako sa'yo na mabuti, so I will expect in the next few years, few days, few months na may gagawin ka din pabalik for me.
So parang may baggage siya palagi no, na
Yeah,
parang may ginawa siya for me.
Oo.
Eventually, may kailangan din akong gawin for this person.
Yun.
I think similar in the way na parang everything you do, ang understanding ko ng utang na loob is, especially when it comes to older people, is pag may nagawa ko para sa'yo, kasi lower ka sa akin, kasi mas bata ka sa akin, you are indebted to me, and you have to do my bidding, basically, diba? That's how we have warped utang na loob into something bad. Pero I think kasi if it comes from a place na parang may nagawa siyang mabuti sa'yo, like, let's say, real life example na, Aliyah treated me to lunch. Ang iisipin ko is, okay, maybe next time, we go out to eat. Ako naman mag-deliver sa'yo.
Yeah.
Kasi that to me is all sense of utang na loob, but it's also just like, we're equals.
Yeah.
Like, we are... Afford ko din namang i-treat ka sa lunch.
Pero hindi kita afford i-treat sa lunch.
Pero gano'n, parang, there are different kasi interpretations siguro of how we view utang na loob. I think the word itself is very loaded. So parang, very like, meaningful siya to a lot of people na parang there's a power dynamic that exists.
Ako gusto ko marinig opinion mo, Rica, kasi lahat ng mga andi dito ay Gen Z. So, in a perspective of someone wisdomful.
I don't know if I have a lot of wisdom, but I think ang question is, bakit ba siya toxic? Bakit toxic sa Gen Z ang utang na loob?
For me, hindi siya toxic because it's like that's just the environment I grew up in. Na parang if somebody does something nice for me, I'll do something nice for them. And
Correct.
It was never, at least growing up, it was never like a villainized thing.
Correct. I think it's villainized for a certain age group. For example, yung mga grandparents natin. Yeah. The idea is that I helped you when you were growing up and now you owe me.
Yeah.
And it becomes toxic because parang even to the detriment of your mental health, like whatever kahit na nalulugi ka na at mamamatay ka na dahil may utang na dahil ako nagpalaki sa'yo, utang mo rin sa akin yung buhay mo.
I think it becomes toxic in a family setting. For example, if ako, like, sorry Maha, pero napagsabihan na kasi ako ng nanay ko na pag nag-aaway kami na parang wala kang utang na loob.
Ayan,
Na parang
sabihin
pinalaki
mo.
kita.
Oh my
Tapos parang
God,
ako,
sabihin
eh
nila.
girl, hindi ko naman choice.
Exactly.
Iniremo ko eh.
Yeah.
Ayoko lumabas.
Saka it's a responsibility ng mga family members to take care of you, diba?
Yeah.
Kaya they shouldn't use that utang na
Utang na
loob
loob.
as an excuse for you to do something good for them. So yun nga, kapag sa family, it becomes toxic. Pero gets yung kay Rika din na kapag situational and yung relationship nyo is kailangan give and take,
yeah.
yun, doon siya nagiging okay. Pero sa family, sobrang nakaka-toxic siya.
I have another, like, medyo toxic concept for me. Na parang, yung hindi pwedeng sumagot sa matanda. Parang, kapag, if you're the younger one, you should just shut up. How is that? Kunyari ko kasi may anak ka. No? Pag sinasagot ka ng mga kids mo, ano ang feels?
Sapatos. Pag sinasagot ako ng the twins are especially are at the time where they're 13, so they're expressing their feelings and emotions, and I sometimes have a problem with parang them talking back. Because I don't know about you, but I was grown up in an era where that was the you're not allowed to talk back because you're
the younger one.
You're the younger one. I think I have evolved and said that if you have it's not about
Character
the voice, but you have to improve your argument. So it's not about raising your voice,
So
improve
holding
your
statement.
argument.
Pero Rika, may question ako. Ano ba paano mo kinakategorize yung pagsagot? Like, does it have to have a high tone? Or kapag sumagot lang, like, nag-reply lang sila sa'yo, mako-consider mo na ba siya as sagot? Sinasagot?
Oo, kasi ako, minsan sumasagot ako kasi tinatanong ako pag pinapagalitan ako.
Yeah.
Tapos pag sumagot ako, huwag kang sumagot
Nagkasabi.
ng pabalang.
Yeah, kasi kahit naman din naman mahinahon, di ba?
Oh, basta sumagot ka.
Sagot pa rin siya. So, ikaw as a parent, paano mo kinakategorize yung sagot?
Wala, pag tinanong kita, dapat sumagot ka.
Hindi, I mean,
So paano pag hindi sumagot kasi minsan hindi ako sumasagot sa sabihin, ba't ka
kasi
nagsasalita?
bakit hindi siya sumasagot. And sa akin, parang I'm a communicative person. So dapat pag tinanong ka, sumasagot ka. Pag hindi ka sumagot, sagutin mo. Diba? A non-answer is an answer. Means you're answering, I don't have an opinion. Okay, you don't have an opinion. Okay, bye.
Pero kasi ang weird ng ibang parents, na parang kapag di ka sumagot, sabihin, sumagot ka! Tapos kapag naman di ka pag sumasagot ka, ba't di ka sumasagot? So girl, anong gagawin ko, ma?
So parang
Eh bakit
either way,
kasi
mali
hindi
ka.
sumasagot ang tao? Kasi natatakot ka.
Natatakot na sabihin, ba't ka sumasagot?
Okay.
O, so ba't ka sasagot? Kasi,
Pero then it's another toxic trauma. Because
Let's
hindi
not start
ka
with trauma.
sumasagot kasi natatakot ka dun sa
Yeah.
So hindi yan toxic din.
Ako, I grew up na the tone was always the problem. Na parang with my mom especially, if she asks me a question and I answer, kasi then she'll be like, watch your tone, or she'll say something na parang, ano siya sa tone ko. So, that, like for me, I had to grow up understanding na parang, I have to think about my tone, I have to think about the way I word things. So not only like to parents, but I think to other people. I think it has to always comes down to like, I have to watch the way I say things. Also, kasi sometimes if you, especially I guess our generation, because we grew up on the internet, we think that everyone is an equal.
Correct.
So it's harder it can be harder for us to view like that power.
And you
thing.
grew up on texting.
Yeah.
And you can't hear tone on
on
text. You grew up in Viber and Messenger and text, and there's no tone in
There's no
text.
tone. So I think it's super important na parang when it comes to like paano ka sumagot sa tao, it also has to come from a place na like if I'm talking to Beach or if I'm talking to Rika, for example, alam ko there has to be a difference in tone na parang hindi ko naman pwede.
So ano tono mo kay BJ? Ano yung difference sa tono?
Hindi naman between the two of them. Pero parang in that sense na parang there's a level of tone that I would approach na hindi siya na babastos ng ibang tao. Kasi I feel like there's that very, very thin line na parang mababastos na yung isang tao sa manner of approach mo.
No, gets. Parang you can be opinionated or you can counter-argue
Yeah.
without sounding rude
Yeah.
about it. So kapag sinasagot ka ng mga anak mo, basta hindi yung tono, okay.
No, I don't care about the tone. The tone does not with me. It's the argument. You have to improve your argument. I don't really care if they
Shout?
shout because they're 13. They can't, the emotions are still heightened. They can't manage their emotions. So it really happens that, the tone is mataas or the tone is galit, I think you have to adjust it based on maturity level. I'm not gonna expect that from the likes of you guys because you're, again, the ano is that you are all mature.
So, kasi yung topics natin, no, sobrang andun sa comparison of like how the Gen Zs view it and how the older people view it. Not that I'm calling you old.
Correct.
But palaging kapag may sinasabi ako sa mom ko and she doesn't agree, ang argument niya sa akin is that papunta ka pa lang, pabalik na. So parang, can you digest that for me? Kasi di ba hindi ba, like for me at least, like, nagbabago yung times eh. How it was during their era, it's super different sa era natin. So, medyo naiirita ako pag palagi ko naririnig yung like,
Bakit ka naiirita?
kasi parang, bago din. Like, kung ano yung napagdaanan mo before, dapat hindi ko na nararamdaman or hindi ko na napagdadaanan ngayon. I mean, that sounds so entitled, no? Because like my mom, yung family ng mom ko, they didn't grow up rich naman.
Okay.
So, napagdaanan nila yung medyo mahirap na buhay. Ako hindi. Kasi I grew up na successful na yung parents ko. So everything that I got, it's because they became successful. Everything that I wanted, nabibigay sa akin. So parang yung expectation ng mom ko is that kailangan ma-experience ko rin yung hirap. And parang for me, in my perspective, gets ko naman, yes, na parang I have to, like, look at other realities.
Right.
But I don't have to experience that reality just for you to make a point.
Right.
Kasi bakit mo ako gustong mahirapan? Eh, di ba nagtrabaho ka ng sobrang igi so that you give me a good life. So bakit mo sasabihin sa akin na papunta ka pa lang, pabalik na?
Did you also parang hear that from your parents?
Yeah, pero sa ibang context naman, parang kunwari, pupunta ako sa isang, like, meron akong problem, tapos sabihin nila, ay, napagdaanan ko na yan, parang ganyan. Tapos parang sasabihin nila, ganito dapat gawin mo, ganyan. Pero syempre, iba yung context yun. Iba yung context na, iba yung experience nila sa my experience ko. So parang, it could help kung ano yung sasabihin nila, pero that doesn't mean kung paano nila ginawa, ganun ko din siya dapat gawin. Ayun, sa ganung context ko na rin yung different sa kay Alina. Pero yeah, I look at it in a positive note, na parang pwede ko din siyang kuhanan ng idea on how I would proceed or go into that situation. Pero yeah, gets ko yung sa'yo kung bakit natotoxic.
No, same with Yel. Parang when my parents would say that, it is usually about money. Like, oh, nung araw ko ganito lang yan, tapos you're asking for more money, gano'n. So, parang hindi siya, it was never like a toxic thing to me either. Kasi I guess it was also never worded that way. I think it comes down talaga to the wording of it na parang, it feels very dismissive. But ako, I thankfully never grew up with like that kind of environment. So I think it's different than my
I 100% grew up in that environment. Yeah, I heard it all through going. I even hear it now as an adult. Papunta ka pala, pabalik na ako. But I think that phrase comes from parents before did not, and I understand that now, just did not know how to communicate and did not understand trauma. So they did not know how to say, I understand what you're going through now. Let me share with you how I went through it. Instead, it became a toxic phrase of, makinig ka sa akin kasi papunta pa lang ako. Pabalik na. And not understanding that the trauma from their childhood manifests in toxic phrases just like that. I understand that now. That's why whenever I hear it, I just, gets that you're trying to, just be nice to me and trying to impart your wisdom. But that phrase, I just completely disregarded.
Well, thank you so much for that. I mean, like, it was super nice to hear other perspective as well. Kasi, syempre, hindi naman ako yung palaging tama. So, yeah. Thank you for joining us in this episode. Thank you, Yel, Rika, and Zoe. So, for more usapan and chikahan, please follow us in Facebook, join our group, and then pwede rin kayo mag-subscribe sa YouTube. And of course, please follow us on TikTok for more Gistmisan. Thanks, broskies!